Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So I'll just sort of formally start this episode now.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, welcome to another episode of the deAsra CEED podcast. In today's episode, we have with us Ms. Piya Bahadur, the co-founder and CEO of Mera Bills, which is a phone-based accounting software designed for small businesses and has recently been selected as one of the four finalists of the 2023 Fintech Innovation Challenge conducted by Women's World Banking. So, congratulations on that, Pia. And
Thank you so much.
on behalf of the deAsra Center at the Center for Excellence in Entrepreneurship Development at the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, I extend a warm welcome to you and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Vishali. It's really my pleasure to be here. We have been, since we are in part of the same ecosystem, so it's great to, trade some ideas and thoughts over how we want to push the envelope forward in this space. Yeah.
Great. So, I would like to start this conversation by firstly trying to understand the problem statement that you have identified with respect to micro and nano entrepreneurs, and how are you addressing this through Mirables?
Okay. So the common challenges that small businesses or micro and nano and that businesses play, largely India's informal sector, is that they don't seem to have any kind of management software, right? Or management tools, essentially. Let's call them tools, whether or training or support. Large companies, I'm sure you know, have these ERP models, they have CRMs, they have accounts division, marketing and strategy people associated. But you know what? The reality is that all business has the same DNA. Even a micro enterprise, a nano enterprise has customers. They have a need for marketing. They have vendors associated. They have to manage payments and receivables. They have to manage inventory, bookkeeping, and loan management.
Right.
So what happens is that currently what is happening is that yes, and like we all know, it's not like business is a newly invented idea. It has been going on for centuries, and people have been using all kinds of tools, maybe paper, maybe they are relegating it to their memory. But the reality is that there isn't really any formalized tools that we can say to the nana entrepreneur here, use this, this will help you in your business, right? What
Right.
we have, some of these tools are either too complicated, they're expensive. We have to see the category of user that's using it, right? It should be easily accessible to them also, to this
Right.
segment of enterprise. So what we realize is that there is a large gap in the market for management tools in this informal sector and the micro and nano enterprises. And the need for this tool would necessarily have to be simple enough, not intimidating for the first time tech user. It has to be cheap or free to use. And most importantly, it has to have a support system that is associated with them, so that they can access and learn. So Mera Bills was built on this premise that how can we make this micro enterprise owner uh, a tool that is available in multiple Indian languages. So Kannada, Marathi, Telugu, the languages that they're comfortable using. The delivery is very training led. Has to be training led. Is what we realized, that there has to be a lot of hand holding,
Mhm.
and we have to be able to facilitate support and mentoring. So honestly, while Mera Bills, the app is simply a piece of technology on an Android phone, the surrounding ecosystem that provides support to the micro enterprises a lot larger. And that's how we feel it will address the problem statement.
Okay. Right. That's a very relevant issue that you've mentioned here. And so I also want to understand that although these micro and nano enterprises have been managing their business operations for quite a long time, it's become a daily routine for them. But what type of paradigm shift are you envisioning through business management tools like Mirables?
Yeah. So quite honestly, we are right now in the midst of amazing change, right? I mean, and I think I'll be really preaching to the choir. You are the generation that is in the middle and causing much of this change. And so business as usual has become a strange idea, like which business as usual or which usual. The usual itself is beginning to change quite a bit, right? we have never in the history of our civilization seen this kind of proliferation of technology.
Right.
The amount of smartphones available, data has become cheaper, online services have become safer and easier. The government itself is stepping in 100 ways to, bring folk onto a tech platform. So
Right.
the environment is totally set for a change, right? And while the nature, or rather the principles upon which business is done does not change, the
Mm.
manner in which it
Mm.
will be conducted is going to change going forward. And so we need our entrepreneurs to be aware of that. And so therefore there could be a better time to start using tech,
Mm.
right? To change, to bring in a certain change in the way they're doing things. Like you said, it's become a daily habit. So while daily behavior is not easy to change, but we have had great, success stories coming out of whether UPI, whether all kinds of KYC, all kinds of loans being given online, schemes that the government is floating being accessed online. So, really, this is a good time for that paradigm shift.
Okay. And while you're, trying to make them get, very hands-on with this tool, what are the challenges that you are facing in getting these enterprises habituated to recording their transactions accurately and using this on a regular basis?
you know, I mean, like all of us, if you don't see the value in literally, I did this, I want something in return.
Yeah.
That's the way, that's everybody. That's not just because this is a first time tech user or, a micro entrepreneur doesn't make it any different. They are as aware of what value they're getting immediately, kind of a thing, right? So one of the things that we focus on is that being able to, one, there is a lot of free work that is done to explain, what are these management ideas? Why should you manage your receivables better? If you leave your receivables out for a week, what happens to your cash flow? You leave it out for a month, what happens to your cash flow? These are notions that are taught in business schools, right? So this is almost like a barefoot MBA where you explain these notions and then you say, hello, now here is a tool that can help you do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Can see where your receivables are. You want to send a payment reminder, do it quickly. It takes few, so you save them on time. You see that they're able to stop leakages upfront. Everything should happen within, very quickly and easily. They should be able to see value very easily. They should be able to create catalogs. So on Mera Bills, you can create catalogs, share catalogs. Suddenly you see folk responding to that. So, those are the kinds of things that they feel, oh, I'm getting a value, and then they stay on. So we are very focused on bringing value as quickly as possible into the training or into the usage.
Okay. Right. Understood. So, I mean, although the micro enterprise segment does fall under priority sector lending, but they still face challenges in accessing business finance. So, how can business management tools help these enterprises in addressing these challenges?
So there are two kinds of challenges, or maybe more, but we are addressing at least one, some of them. So
Mhm.
some of the big ones are that lenders have to assess risk. They must understand who they are lending to. They must be able to assess risk. And the
Right.
second is being able to deliver the loan and collect the loan, right? So one is assessing risk of the user. Then the second is how much of a loan to give, how to reach the loan and how to collect it back. So those are the major things that the lender. So if we try to solve for the lender, then it makes the borrower, our micro entrepreneur, become ease of lending begins to happen. So those are the things that we are trying to help with, like make the user or their business. So far, how micro lending is done, right? Or priority sector lending is done. It's based on a household, this, that, and the other, not on the business. But can we make the business and its health visible to the lender? Will that help in helping them assess their risk better or more on, in a certain different way? Can we make working capital visible to the lender? Would that help them create other tools?
Mhm.
Maybe not a term loan, maybe a working capital loan. So those are the kinds of places where we are trying to step in to see how we can facilitate the micro enterprise to become a good borrower or appear to be a good borrower. They are good borrowers. We need to make sure that the lenders are able to see that.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, is there anything that is to be addressed from the finance giver's side of the story, where maybe innovative financing models need to be introduced, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think there is a lot of work already, I mean, being done. We have been speaking and collaborating with lots of folk from that space. And many of the conversations are coming out to be that, whether it is the idea that we have to move away from collateral-based lending
Right.
to, supply chain lending
Right.
to, and so on. So like, for example, GEM, the government e-marketplace is talking about a GEM Sahai.
Mhm.
So there are these, large thoughts being there in the lending space to and policies being created to facilitate different models of bringing in the micro enterprise in a more favorable light to be lent to directly. I mean, we've of course seen the SHG. The SHG model, the JLG model has worked very well in the past, but is beginning to be a need for direct lending for the say things like Prime Minister Mudra Yojana and all to be activated and to be used more fully because there is a lot of that available also.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. That's right. So, I mean, is there any interesting case study that you can, illustrate for us where you've seen the transformation of a micro or nano enterprise?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, there is a live case study of this lady that we recently conducted. She, and we work with rural women entrepreneurs in particular, like Mera Bills as a social enterprise, is very focused on them. Of course, the technology is easily accessible by everybody.
Yeah.
So there she made and sold pots, clay pots of various types, right? And she's one of the most enthusiastic business owners I know, right? I mean, she's living in a district in Gujarat and she makes these pots and she sells this thing. And she was able to create a catalog and actually put it out there. And there were people who saw it and they were interested in, ordering from her and so on and so forth. And it's really increased her access. And I remember we were having like a discussion with some of our users and we wanted to know what else, what is the kind of, what support do you need? What kind of technology would help? And she was very clear on, can you allow me to send the picture of one pot only with only the sale price on it? Because I've got a call and they want to see that particular pot. But on the catalog, we should have to show everything, but some things are not available. I need to be able to pull these things off the catalog. I mean, she was driving innovation for us, and we had users who were like, I need to market. I need to, at this point for Diwali, all I can forward is like, a happy Diwali that somebody has forwarded to me. I need to put my shop photo on that. I mean, look at the innovation that is coming out of the grassroots. This is what they want. This is plain and simple marketing that we all need. So yes, there have been several such stories where people have, I have had, there are case studies of where they're running multiple businesses. And on Mera Bills, there is a feature where you can have multiple businesses, which many small business owners do. You have a tailoring shop in front and you have a sari selling shop also. You do catering also, but you also sell masalas, package and sell masalas. So the idea is that keep these businesses separate. So you can keep accounting for each separately. So you know who's making how much money, kind of a thing. And I've actually had somebody tell me that I realized that that other business was not making me money, so I shut it down. And I'm like, okay, just don't tell anybody that you shut down a business on account of Mera Bills. But I'm just joking here. Of course, the fact that she understood that, what, when calculated, this is the business that's making me more money. I should focus on this and grow this one was huge, was to me a huge learning, and to her, a tool that was able to tell her that. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's an interesting case. So, considering the size of the audience, the micro and nano segment, there needs to be a large scale training that is to be conducted. So, how can different organizations in the same ecosystem synchronize their activities to enable these businesses to transform their business operations, business management?
Oh, absolutely. Like you largely said, that this is a huge audience. And I will say that this is hugely segmented also. Like these are not just one size fits all, right? Right. I mean, we can see our users requiring different things. There are some very early case where businesses where, access to technology is very little, understanding. I mean, this is a eighth pass lady. who's running a business from, like I said, a district in Maharashtra. Okay. Then you have this person like you and me, educated, to a college degree, making, making lunches from home in Pune city. They're all micro entrepreneurs. But the point is the ability to absorb technology, adopt, understand, and all are different. And her requirements also grow differently. Then this is, of course, in terms of just rural urban education. But then there are some who are like, that we work with entrepreneurs who are, Bhai, I need sustenance level business. I'm going to do my business a certain way. And then there are those champions who want to race ahead of the field and, want to be the next biggest things in sliced bread, and good for them, like good for us, right? And
Yeah.
so the support they require is different. And so the ecosystem must come together to recognize that there are these different kinds of folk, there are different kinds of requirement, and to tailor it according to the requirements that they have. That said, then this tailoring has to be done in a certain way that can be scaled, right? So there the technology comes in, digitalization comes in, SOPs, the way we do things, they all come in to then be able to address this very large numbers of potential business owners that are out there. So, I mean, it's definitely an ecosystem play. We must be able to work together and, and see what is the strength of each organization and where what fits in, kind of a thing. I mean, in potentially, like, where one would hope is that they graduate from one organization to the next. There are the trails of the organizations which can support a growing an EDP program, entrepreneurship development program. The next group takes it to mentoring. The next group takes it to access to finance. And we actually have these chains of services that can come together to provide the entire gamut of requirement that our business owners need.
Right, right. That's right. So, when it comes to research around these enterprises, would you identify any research gaps that, research centers can address through maybe surveys, studies?
Oh, yes, of course. See, we have been part of several research studies actually, which is why the interest with the CEED also. I mean, all learning comes from thinking through things deeply and keeping control groups. And you're a researcher, so you know how this is done. So we had a World Bank research project. We also were on a Oxford research project. And the kind of research questions that were asked is that, what is the kind of support needed? What will it take to train these ladies? What are the features that they use? How does it affect other parts of their lives, or what is impact? How do we measure the impact that is being created for these business owners through technology? So all kinds of questions. There's a whole range of questions that we still need answers, and where I feel research can come in, and research organizations like you is like really to pick up one piece of what is actually happening on the field, or even a premise, and then dig deep, create control groups. We are happy to, provide the whatever data and information that needs to be used to bring together these measurements, and some of it will be obviously anecdotal, some of it will actually be measured, and at least some parts of those things can be done in
Right,
collaboration with folk, right?
right. That
So
will continue to enrich the research that's there.
yes, which continues to, and the research informs industry. Ultimately, the research should inform industry, where we can bring in changes to the software, bring in changes to the training mechanism, bring in changes to what our services are, so that it makes the services even richer. So yes, there is. I mean, I think working closely with research is something that industry needs to do in any case.
Right, right. That's
I went to college in the US and studied planning, right? Urban planning, development actually. And some of our best engagements were with actual practitioners, because they bring from the field what is happening, and then you dissect it and work through it and figure out why this, why that, after you have control groups, and you're not just working in a vacuum. So yeah.
that's right. That's right. That's true. So I want to move on to what your thoughts are. Like, what kind of policy reforms do you envision to support the growth of these enterprises for their, I mean, sustainability? And is there anything we can adopt, as good practices globally?
So Well, we are part of some of these discussions at policy, this thing, and at policy levels, and from what um, where policy, at least in India, is talking about schemes, right? That's how the government essentially brings things to the citizens through schemes and the convergence of these schemes. But in the entrepreneurship space, there is a lot of training involved, right? EDP programs, you have NISBUD, you have EDII, you have, NSDC, and all kinds of organizations at government level, which are also conducting various kinds of which are delivering various services. How do we then converge those with schemes and bring it and make these things happen is one part, is, a big part that policy addresses and speaks to. The other part is, of course, how do you get in the civic bodies, the international development agencies, and private organizations and create a framework within which they can all function together and sort of support each other's work. So to my mind, those are the kind of policy recommendations that are beginning to that have been happening and we're able to see. Of course, in other countries, uh, places like Chile and Sierra Leone, there are already some innovative solutions that harness the value of transaction data, either from e-commerce and payment platforms, mobile phones, other social networks, which is happening in India also as alternative sources of information to assess credit worthiness, right? So those things are when policies created around it would also be supportive of how these players can bring in other mechanisms of credit worthiness for a group that has long been ignored in terms of measuring their credit worthiness.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Great. So I just want to come to one question. So I understand that you focus particularly on women entrepreneurs. So what are the unique challenges, socio-economic challenges that they go through?
Um, See, like I said, the app itself, Mera Bills, the app is gender agnostic.
Yeah,
Technology is gender agnostic.
that's true.
But where Mera Bills is different, we have an idea of a Mera Samudaya, which is larger than just this particular user. So so we work with partners and we have a lot of back-end instrumentation that allows for managing what is happening on the field, the trainings that have been given, how is the user behavior being, how many transactions or different kinds of user behaviors is being assessed and tracked to inform us as to uh, what are best practices. So, some of the things that women have problems with is access to phones, of course, or they have access to phones, but continual access to phones. Do they own their own phone? They have a huge time crunch. So training them has its own issues around when they can be available and when they're not, and so on. And of course, I'm talking about rural women entrepreneurs. This is like the category of users that is singularly most the harder have it the hardest, right? But women in particular learn differently. They learn better in groups. They need repetition. They need hand holding. They need all kinds of support, and mentoring goes a long way. So we try to facilitate these things through partners because we recognize that women learn technology slightly differently. Their ideas of risk, their ideas of growth are different, and we must address those ideas. FOMO, oh, if you don't use this, then something bad will happen to you. Or you know what, if you use this, you will be a lakpati tomorrow, are not ideas that fly. Most people will just back off. Most people, women will back off. Men may be, yes, I will do this and I will, grow my business to 10x. But with women, you have to be far more sensible and much more realistic, and they respond far better. So there are responses and these things which, and the way women think about things definitely has to be understood before we start delivering services to them.
That's right. That's right. Wow, that's been a very interesting conversation with you, and thank you so much for these incredible insights. And we really look forward to working with you in this same ecosystem. So, on behalf of the center, I really want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, Pia, and thank you so much for taking out the time today.
Yes, certainly. Thank you so much. And more power to all of us
Yeah,
to take up this difficult challenge online and head on. And everybody needs all the help. And I'll really look forward to working together with people in the ecosystem. So
thank you so much.
thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.